Trauma bonds, a term so deceptively clinical for something so profoundly human, so painfully intricate. Let us begin with a thought that might catch you off guard. Love, true love, does not feel like an addiction. It does not leave you awake at night, questioning your worth, blaming yourself for the cruelty of another, or clutching to breadcrumbs of kindness like a drowning man clings to driftwood. But a trauma bond? Ah, now that is a different story altogether. That, my friends, is the dark art of emotional entrapment, a cruel and cunning dance between pain and reward, where logic is a distant spectator and your sense of self eroded, grain by grain. Picture this, a predator and their prey. But here the predator doesn't devour, they enchant. They lure you in with promises of love, safety, understanding, all the things your weary heart craves. And then, just when you begin to believe, they strike. A word, a gesture, a calculated act of indifference. The pain cuts deep, but before you can process, there it is. The reward, a tender apology, a fleeting moment of sweetness. You begin to rationalize. They must care, right? Look at this moment. Surely I can hold on to that. And thus, the bond is forged, not of love, but of survival, of hope tangled with despair. Let me guide you through this labyrinth of signs, these clues that whisper, something is wrong here. And if you recognize yourself, know this: you are not alone, and there is a way out. Sign 1. The illusion of good intentions. Ah, the charming narcissist. You convince yourself they are good at heart, misunderstood, even loving, despite a litany of evidence to the contrary. Let me paint you a picture. If your friend described a relationship like yours, with all its heartbreak and manipulation, would you tell them to stay? Or would you beg them to run? And yet, here you are, clutching to the fantasy of who they might become, while reality paints a very different portrait. Sign 2. Walking on eggshells. Do you find yourself tiptoeing through every conversation, every moment, hoping not to set them off? If only I were better, more patient, less demanding, you think. But here's the truth. No amount of perfection on your part will ever satiate their need for control. You are not the problem. The game is rigged, my dear. Sign 3. Overvaluing the smallest gestures. A crumb of kindness from them feels like a feast, doesn't it? A rare compliment, a fleeting moment of affection, and you're grateful, desperately so. But tell me, when did your standards sink so low? When did you begin to accept scraps, believing them to be a banquet? Sign 4. The endless overthinking. Every conversation is a riddle to solve. Every glance a potential clue. You live in your mind, replaying their words, analyzing your actions, wondering, what did I do wrong? But the answer is simple. Nothing. The fault lies not in you, but in their calculated chaos. Sign 5. Losing yourself. Look in the mirror. Do you recognize the person staring back? Or have you molded yourself into their ideal, sacrificing your dreams, your values, even your appearance to keep the peace? And yet, they remain unsatisfied. Always. Sign 6. Pain as the price of admission. You give and give, receiving little in return but pain and punishment. And still, you stay, clinging to the hope that things will change. Tell me, how many times must you forgive the same transgressions before you realize they never intend to stop? Sign 7. Addiction to the abuser. Here lies the cruelest truth. You crave them. They are both the source of your suffering and the salve you seek to soothe it. Like a drug, they've wired your brain to need them, to ache for their fleeting approval. But this addiction, it can be broken. Sign 8. Tolerating the unthinkable. You swore you'd never accept lies, cheating, or abuse. And yet, here you are, tolerating the intolerable, lowering your standards, betraying your own values, all in the name of a love that only exists in the shadowy corners of your imagination. Sign 9. Ignoring the voices of reason. Friends, family, they see the truth. They tell you to leave, to run. But you either hide the truth from them or dismiss their advice. You've been isolated, perhaps by the narcissist's cunning or by your own shame. Either way, you've lost your compass. Sign 10. The endless cycle. Even when you leave or when they discard you, you find yourself drawn back. A kind word, a false promise, a memory of better days, and you're lured once more into their web. The cycle repeats, leaving you more broken with every turn. Now, let us talk of freedom. Breaking a trauma bond is not a matter of willpower alone. It requires 3 decisions. Accept the truth. A narcissist will never be the partner you deserve. They are toxic to you, now and forever. Reclaim your resources. All the energy you've poured into fixing them, pour it back into yourself. Rebuild what they have taken. Release the guilt. Stop blaming yourself for staying too long, for not leaving sooner, for not saving them. You are not their savior, nor their victim. You are you, worthy, whole, and capable of healing. How will you know you've broken the bond? When they are no longer the center of your thoughts, when your mind drifts, not to them, but to the beauty of the world, the joy of your own dreams. That, my friends, is freedom. Trauma bonds are not love. They are chains forged in pain and fear, but chains can be broken. And when you do, you will not just survive, you will thrive. Remember, the story of your life is still being written. Make it a tale of courage, of resilience, and above all, of love. The kind that begins within.